I always joke when saying that this show takes me all around the world, all around the U.S., and I think we're headed out to the West Coast, or at least that's where she's normally based. Now, whether she's there or not, we'll find out here in a second. But it's also real fun because this is her second time on here on Bar Conversations. She was a guest back on episode 88, which came out in March 22. Now we're on episode 254, so just a few later, and I think her life has changed because now I can actually ask her my go-to question. So let's welcome into Bar Conversations. She's a rising country singer-songwriter. Her latest single, Let Lying Dogs Sleep, is out now. Welcome in, Presley Tennant.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Absolutely. I love when we can reconnect because it's just fun. You know what I mean? Like it's fun to see where you've gone in those 3.5 years. It's wild to think it was that long ago.
Seriously.
When I was looking it up, I was like, is it that long ago? But
it's crazy to think about. Time flies by.
Absolutely. Now, last time I didn't get to ask this question because you were not 21, and we make sure we follow the rules here as much as we can on Bar Conversations. So tonight I can't ask this. This is Bar Conversations. What's your go-to drink, or what are you drinking tonight?
I have a glass of a cab tonight. I haven't drank any yet because I'm afraid I'm going to stain my teeth and my lips. But usually it's a white wine. I love me a good white wine. But tonight I feel like it's kind of like a red. It's cold out. It feels like it's appropriate for this. So that's what I have.
Absolutely. Now, are you out in California? You're in Nashville. Where is home base tonight?
So I am out in Nashville, Tennessee. I just made the drive out there from California. Got it yesterday. I want to say around like 5 or 6 yesterday. Got some dinner, unpacked all of my stuff. I had half of it out here already, but I know I brought like all like my other stuff. I'm like, oh, my room is a little smaller than I anticipated for. I have a lot of clothes. But no, I'm really excited to be back out here though. I feel like it's been a couple months since I've been out here, so I'm just excited to be here, to be back.
Now how's Mother Nature down there? I know here in Kentucky, where I'm at, we got rain all day. It's a little chilly.
Yep.
So that red wine makes sense where I'm at.
Exactly. It's about the same, I will say, outside right now. I think it was raining the entire time. At least driving from Little Rock yesterday to Tennessee, it was pouring, and at one point I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be living in where it rains a lot. That was one of those things where I was like, you know what, I'm fine. I can figure this out. I'm like, I don't know. It definitely is different though, because I'm used to like 75 sunny, and like if anything, it's like 65 in the morning because it's like a little chilly. I know you're laughing at that, which is fine.
I was gonna ask. So I'm guessing does this mean you've now moved full time to Nashville, or
Essentially?
And then are you going to be here in December and January when there's snow on the ground?
Okay, so I've been out here when there has been snow on the ground. I think when it was like -4 or something. For like the past 2 years, whenever they got their snowstorm, I was out here for that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is easy. I could do this. I don't know. I'm speaking it into existence that I can. I might get to the point where I'm like, oh, it's too dang cold. I need to go home. Granted, when I'm at home, I'm like going up to the snow to go do fun things, to go like snowboarding or something. So I'm like, what's the difference? Now I just have it at my front door. So, but
The only difference is how bad people can drive in it.
yeah. Well, that's the difference. I know myself, and I'm not going to endanger other people. So I just choose to stay home. That's what but I don't know. We'll see when it actually gets to that point. I might be like, no, I need to get out. Like I'm going crazy. So, yeah.
See, when we have the third conversation, I'll ask you how much you've enjoyed actually living in the snow full time. So, like I said, I know you got the red wine. I always like to. I didn't have anything California. I wasn't sure about Tennessee, so I just was like, you know what? Let's have something a little fun, little Joseph Magnus, little triple cask finish, little sherry and cognac. So we'll see how this whiskey goes.
Yeah.
Now, you do this music thing, but I don't think I realized this the first time, or maybe, it didn't stick with me, but is it true that you thought you were going to be playing soccer your entire life and not music?
Yeah, that is very true. I grew up from like a very like soccer oriented family. Like that's my brother played up until college. And I think he even like he was gonna play in college, and they were like, oh, you can make your decision for yourself, and he's like, I don't want to do it. But my dad like still plays time to time in like indoor leagues and things like that. And I always had grown up playing, and I thought my goal was to go to like college, be on a collegiate level, play there, and then hopefully make like the U.S. women's national team. And then, but like by the time that I was 12, 13, I had been scouted for like ODP, which is like the Olympic developmental program. And so I was like, okay, like I'm pretty decent at this. Like this could be a career. And then I fell in love with music, and I was like, I think this is what I want to do. And that was a hard day for my dad because he was my coach for all those years. My mom was like, thank God I don't got to keep driving around. But little does she know that she was still having to drive me around at that point.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. It doesn't matter what it is. I've learned that. I did golf growing up, and that was a lot of travel. And now my daughter's doing dance, and thank goodness she's still at the young enough age where it's not that far. But I know what's coming at some point, and it's a lot of driving.
Exactly. No, but I thought I was always gonna be playing soccer, and then music came along, and I was like, oh, just kidding. I looks like I'm doing this, and I'm really glad that I made that decision because I feel like I'm in the right place.
I would agree with that. I've always enjoyed your music, and you talked too a little bit beforehand that you'd go up into the mountains, maybe snowboard. So living out there in California, I mean, I know the town you were in was a little more Horsetown, USA, but it sounds like in general you were out getting outdoors as well.
Well, so that was like the thing, at least was like my family, we always were doing something, whether it was like soccer games. I mean, I grew up skiing and then switched over to snowboarding probably about 3 years ago because I was like, you know what, everyone makes fun of me. I did fall into peer pressure because of this. And I was like, I just need to be cool. And so I learned how to snowboard, broke my arm, got back up, and I was like, I'm going to ski then. Like, okay, whatever. But I've been snowboarding since. But then we'd go out to like the desert because we have about 3 hours away from us. We have like big sand dunes called Magnus, and I grew up riding like my quad. And we just sold that thing the other day because I was like, I'm moving. There's no point of having it anymore. It's so sad. What a sad day.
You can go find places outside of Nashville. There is country.
100%.
Now, granted, I don't know when you'd have time. That would be the problem.
I will make the time. That's the difference. There's a will, there is a way. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just excited for to figure out things also to do out here. I feel like whenever I'm out here, I have like my little staples where I go on my run in like a certain little area. Love hiking. It's a little cold now though. That's the only thing that I'm afraid of. So I'm like, what am I gonna do?
You will find plenty to do. I'm sure. But it's funny because like I mentioned, you grew up in Horsetown, USA, there in Norco, California. What impact did that have on you? Kind of because it sounds like you guys. One, your family life, you guys were outdoors, you went and did things, you were active. Yeah. But I'm guessing, though, that lets you experience a lot of different things throughout life.
I will say it definitely was very interesting. I love Norco with, like, my whole heart. That is home forever and always. But I think it is really cool because I also grew up going to LA because from 10 years old, I was in a girl group, and so I was out there rehearsing 3 to 5 days a week. And so it was really cool to see the difference of, like, okay, like, now I'm going into North Hollywood, and I'm going to dance class up there, but then I come home, and it's like, I go stop at the Taco Bell to grab some food, and there's a horse in front of me in the drive-thru, instead of, like, so it's really cool. But I feel like it shaped me in so many different ways. It's very, like, community-based, very family-first. Everyone there is so, so kind, which I love. And everyone really has your back, which is one of my favorite things. But then also it's like, I grew up, that all we listen to out there is country. Like, that is, you go, there's stables outside, like, they aren't going to be playing some, like, R&B, which I would think would be really cool if they did, too, because I'm like, best of both worlds, but, it definitely, like, country is, like, the given, so that's what I always grew up around, and that shaped me for, like, even my music, because I was in that girl group, but we were a pop Christian girl group, and then I continued on with, like, the pop realm. And I got to one point and I was like, this isn't me. Like, I want to write real songs that mean something for everyone. I was like, and I love the sound of, like, fiddle and steel and dobro and things like that. And I was like, how can I incorporate that? And I think nowadays with where music is within the country genre, it kind of, you're able to do a little bit of everything. And so it felt really right. And this was even before. I mean, definitely now it's more of like a crossover kind of thing where you can jump into so many different lanes. But when I first was like, no, like this is what I'm doing, it was definitely more of just like country, and then there was like pop that it would like sprinkle into. And I'm like, now I'm like, I can do everything. So I'm excited.
I was gonna say those guardrails are non-existent anymore, and you know, country can, and it's like a lot of things. Even when you look back, I mean, there's a lot of country, southern rock,
Yep.
and some of those songs that everyone loved. They just might not have known it at the time. And you talk about, you know, the girl group and things like that, but what made you want to get into music at like age 10, like, and kind of, you know, say adios to soccer, make your dad sad, all that? What made you go into music?
Honestly, I really liked karaoke. I'm not gonna lie. Karaoke was the thing that got me started into it. It was Taco Tuesday over at the Mexican restaurant, and they had a karaoke machine, and I was a karaoke hog. I hogged that microphone from everyone. But I was extremely shy everywhere else. But that was like the moment where I was like, yeah, like let's sing some Pat Benatar Heartbreaker. Let's sing some Breakaway Kelly Clarkson. And I don't know. I think at that point I started taking vocal lessons. I told my mom, I was like, hey, like I want to take vocal lessons. She's like, okay, go online, find it, and let me know. And so I called her and I invited this stranger to my house. And I was like, well, I don't see what the issue is. And she didn't get it. She's like, Presley, you can't keep calling strangers off the internet, inviting them over. Just like, come on, like help me help you.
Now you know. Now you know. But then I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the first time that had happened, though. That's that's the other part.
It still doesn't happen, does it?
No, I don't do that anymore. I used to like to stay
You learned.
off the internet. Yeah. No, and so, so I did that, took vocal lessons, was introduced to the girl group, and then just like completely fell in love with it. Because I always thought it was like you were on Disney Channel, that meant you were like gonna be a star. So I thought that's just what it was. It was out of the cards for me. I was like, oh, can't do it, and I guess it's not for me. And I don't know. And then now I am here, and it's been such a incredible journey, and I met so many incredible people along the way, and I'm just so thankful for each and every day that I get to do this.
Well, and you talked about, you know, being able to do the girl group thing, the 5 LPs. You know, what was that experience like? Because I'm guessing that's when you really got to see the ins and outs. Like you said, you were going in for rehearsals, for dance practice, for all these things. Kind of like what most people would go, oh, that's a job.
Yeah. Well, it essentially was. I made my parents like homeschool me because I was like, I want to be able, well, okay, so at that point, I was in elementary school. I was getting called out early every day, and I would just get my homework in advance, and then I remember I'd sit like during recess and like try to figure out like my homework, and then my teacher would come up to me and she's like, Presley, like you need to be a kid, go play. And I was like, okay, like I'll go put it away. And I would just go like hide in the bathroom to finish my homework because I knew I couldn't go up there and go to rehearsal if I didn't have my stuff done. And then I was also up there, and then I drive 2 hours back home to play on 2 soccer teams and go to practice, and I do that the next day. And so at one point my parents were like, hey, like you're gonna burn yourself out, like you're like 12, like, and you're not gonna like the way you're living, like you need to change a few things. And so I think I was homeschooled at that point trying to do everything, and then I was like, you know what, like I just want to do music at this point. And I think that was the moment when I made that decision. I knew exactly that this is what I wanted to do. In some way, in some capacity, I knew I wanted to be involved in the music industry at some point.
And now you are, and along that journey, you know, it's fun to see how the journeys go. And you know, I know for you, it's wild to think that this was 6 years ago, but you were on The Voice season 16 at age 16. How much did being on The Voice, because help change things for you, and not so much, you know, hey, you got the exposure and all that, but I feel like hearing you talk about, hey, country's where I want to be, I feel like that's kind of maybe where you went, oh, this is the sound I want to have.
It was one of those things remember, I always say it's like I walked on the show as a pop artist, but I left as a country artist in a way. Maybe like a pop country artist. I'm like, not very traditional country, and I know that. Still love it though. But I would say that there were so many things that I had learned along the way while I was there at The Voice. And not only just about like who I am as an artist, but who I am as a person and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say and who I wanted to be. Like those were kind of like I felt like I was in such a big pond with so many people that were incredible. And so I just took everything. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a sponge. I'm going to learn as much as I can because if I'm not learning, then what's the point of me being here? And I learned so much. And I think it's one of the coolest things that for me from the show, it's like this one big family. Like some of my best friends I've made from there, I still talk to all the time. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people say the same thing, but it's so true. It's like, I'll meet someone that's on a different season of The Voice, and I'm like, oh my God, how's your experience? Like, and we just start talking, and I'm like, I feel like I've known you forever. And they're like, we definitely don't. And I'm like, okay. But no, it's been so cool, and I'm so grateful for The Voice and everything that it taught me.
Well, and one of the cool things you got to do is you did turn 17 on The Voice.
I did.
And on your birthday, you got to sing with your longtime idol, Kelly Clarkson, and her song Because of You. What was that like? Because I'm guessing that had to be a pretty cool moment and one that you might remember for a long time.
I will say no birthday has ever topped that one. It was every year we try to beat it, and I'm like, who can we get? And I'm like, they're not in the budget. No, it was really cool because I remember when Kelly like even turned for me. She was part of the reason why I even started singing to begin with. Like she was my first concert ever that I had ever been to. I would sing Because of You at every audition for like talent shows or little things like that. And then she was my coach on The Voice, and I remember meeting her. My mom was like, "Girl, like close your mouth, like flies are gonna get in there," I just wouldn't say anything. Like she'd ask me a question, I'm just like, because it doesn't feel real, and I'm seeing her, and then she's just so down to earth, so genuine. It was one of the coolest things. Like I've never really been starstruck. It's been over a soccer player and then her, and I was like, oh, this is got it. I'm embarrassing myself. This is really cool.
You're normal. It's normal.
Yeah. But then as soon as I remember she walked in one day and she was wearing like, I think it was like a Taco Bell t-shirt and like carrying like a big bag of In-N-Out, and I was like, oh, this is my girl. Like, cool, awesome. Like, we're good now. I'm locked in. Like, we know exactly where this is gonna go. She is me. Like, I am her, and I don't know. But it was just that was kind of one of those things that like really eased the moment, and we got to like talking, and I think like my coaching sessions would turn from like 30 minutes to like 2 hours just because we spent so much time trying to get it perfect for myself, which I think is so cool. And then during the finale of The Voice, I finished singing the song, and I was walking off during commercial break, and she was like, hey, like I'm playing over in Vegas, like do you want to come play with me? And I was like, oh, what? And the next day I got a text from her, and I was like, oh, this isn't real, like why is this happening? And yeah, and so I've been trying to beat that birthday ever since, and I think that is when I peaked. So
No, it's not when you peaked, but it is. It may be your birthday peak. I don't know.
yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know if it will ever top a birthday, but
No.
in life, I'm sure there's hopefully got some good peaks coming. And I mentioned Kelly Clarkson's one of your idols. What other music did you grow up listening to? Kind of had an impact on you, back then and to still to today.
I will say I grew up listening to everything underneath the sun. A lot. I mean, I know for myself, it was like me and my best friend growing up. We were listening to a lot of Carrie Underwood, a lot of Miranda Lambert. I think we made our own music videos to those songs on like iMac or iMovie or whatever years ago. And I'm like, no, those should never see the light of day. But then a lot of like I love Heart. I love Etta and Aretha Franklin. Etta James and Aretha Franklin. But I love like Christina Aguilera and like Demi Lovato. I've noticed that it definitely is more towards like the powerhouses, just because there's something behind it. Like they don't even have to be singing like a certain word, and I'm like, I know exactly what you're feeling, girl. Like, come on. But it is really cool to see, and I do notice that my music does reflect a lot back of them, which I think is really cool. And there's like little ones that have also like been sprinkled in there, like I love me some alternative rock and things like that. But I would say that doesn't really come through in my music as much. So. But the ones before I definitely do.
Well, and at the end of the day, yes, they can carry a tune pretty well. They can also tell, a pretty good story. And I know you also love to do that, and you also love to put your spin on things. And one of the things that I think kind of also sets you on the career journey was when you did something in the Orange from a female perspective.
Yep.
blew up on TikTok, and if I remember reading correctly, and from past conversations, you like did it, went to something else, and the next thing you know, like it legit went viral.
Yeah. That was, I remember I was flying home from Tennessee and he had just released his American Heartbreak album. It was like 30, 35 songs on there or something. And I was like, you know what? I'll download it, listen to it all. And the entire time, there's like Something in the Orange I knew was like the single on it, but I really liked that song. Like I really, really did. And then I thought about it and I was like, what if he's just an overthinker? And like, what if she's just at the grocery store and like, he's like, oh my God, she's leaving me. And I was like, what if he's like me? And so I kind of just put my little spin on it and I was like, you know what, like, what if she is coming back? And he just doesn't know it and he's just all up in his head. And so I posted the female perspective, which rewritten is like a very loose word. I've just changed a lot of the perspectives of it. And I posted it to TikTok and it blew up. And then all of a sudden I was redoing the whole song and putting it out as a cover. And then People Magazine got involved. And I was like, this is crazy. From social media, from like a 20-minute thing. As soon as I got home, I like picked up my guitar. I couldn't even play it on guitar. I had to get someone else to play it. So, and now that I know how to play guitar, I'm like, this is the easiest dang chords, girl. You could have got this. But no, it's really cool to see it. And it is crazy. Like, I always know that social media can be like one of those things that change a lot of your journey, but it was weird to like have it happen firsthand. So I'm very thankful for that.
Well, and like I said, you talk about that journey, you talk about those moments, for you, you started out at like 10, 12 in the Christian pop girl group. You kept doing pop. Then you went on The Voice, went kind of country, had that viral moment, and you've still been able to put out some new music along the way, make inroads there. Is it crazy to think that you've pretty much just been in this industry your whole life? You grew up in it?
It is really crazy at one point. Like, I'd look back and I'm like, oh, like, it really hasn't been that long. And then I'm like, no, like, this is all I've ever known. Because I think that's the other thing is a lot of people always think that I'm a lot older than I am. And then when I tell them, it's like, hey, I'm actually, like, just 23. And they're like, oh, like, you seem like you've been in this for so long. And I'm like, well, this is all I've ever known. I've been in this since I was 10. And, like, not doing it for fun at 10. It was like I was working. And so I feel like I'm a lot older than I am. I'm like, I might need Botox soon. But they'll take care of that.
You've gone through it.
Yeah.
You've been through the music industry.
Like I'm a little bit of a veteran at some point. I know I'm not like the ultimate veteran with it, but I've seen some things, I got some dirt under my nails. But no, it's been so fun, but also it's crazy to think about how fast time flies with everything. But also a lot of it, I mean, it's so hard when you're like 10 to even 17, 18. It's really hard for people to like take you seriously when you're doing it. Cause it's like, oh, it's just a hobby. Like, it's a fun thing. Like, mom and dad put her in it. And I was like, my mom was trying to talk me out of it at one point. And she's like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, there's the college right there you could go. And I was like, no, I'm good. I know what I want to do. And I'm very thankful that they're very supportive with everything. But yeah, it doesn't feel... I never once thought this were a beast, but I'm very thankful for it.
Well, and like I said at the beginning, you've released a new single here this fall, and it's kind of it's not kind of, it is a fun play on words, Let Lying Dogs Sleep, and if people can kind of, twist that around, they can see what you were going for there, but you co-wrote it with Trey Bruce. Can you kind of explain the fun, flip on the classic saying and how you wanted the conversational lyrics to make it feel like you were just talking with some friends?
So it was one of those things, I want to say about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. I walked in with Trey and he was like, hey, I have this idea. Like, do you know the saying, let sleeping dogs lie? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, what about let lying dogs sleep? And I was like, hold on. So it kind of just took me back in time. Because, I mean, obviously it's a very familiar saying. But then it took me back in time to, like, when I was growing up and hearing, like, my mom and, like, all of her friends, like, they'd all come over and they'd tell all the kids, like, all the girls, like, this is what happened, like, this is what you do and what you don't do and all this stuff. And I was like, all the stories of their dating lives have all just, for some reason, came back to light. And I was like, this is familiar, like, it's relatable. And then I thought about it and I was like, even, like, friends that, like, of mine, they've told me stories and all these different things. I was like, this is something that's really fun. It kind of takes like a very, like more of a heavier subject. It's not super heavy, but it makes like a fun play on words, fun light on it. I love something a little rowdy, a little sassy, a little in your face a little bit. And yeah, I'm very, very thrilled that that song is finally out.
Well, and it was a follow up to one that I guess you might have thought it could have been, thematically similar. Pick Your Poison. Obviously, there was a little break in between on the releases, but how did those two songs kind of fit together and kind of be the, one released and then the next? Because Pick Your Poison's dealing with some vices and some red flags as well.
No, I would say Pick Your Poison was more of like the I know this is bad for me, but I'm still gonna choose it anyways, just to see to get the story out of it. But then the other one, Let Lion Dog Sleep, was just like that's just blatant disrespect at that point. The other one was like I knew what I was getting myself into. This one was like I should have known better, if that makes sense. But I feel like they kind of followed each other really thematically, and I don't know, different play, but also had the same kind of vibe in a way. So I knew I wanted that to be closer to a follow up. But then some time had passed, so it's kind of it feels like starting fresh again, but I know it's not. But with this new music coming out very soon, I'm really excited for all those to be out there.
Well, and like you said, it was probably a little longer than you had hoped for. I think almost 10 11 months. Are you a patient person, and how was that, holding on to stuff for that long?
Oh my gosh, I was itching to get music out there. I feel like this year, especially since I haven't been able to get out here as much as I had hoped for, it's like I've had a place out here since April, and I finally am just now moving into it, getting all my stuff out here. And so I have been forced to be patient more than I would have liked to. But also, I know everything, timing, it's all God's timing and whatever He wants me to do. And so I wasn't too worried about it at the same time, because when it's supposed to happen, it will. And so I'm just really excited for this song, and then top of the year, there's going to be new music coming out very, very soon. So I'm just excited to see where everything is going for that.
I love to hear that. And then, obviously you had, Let Lying Dogs Sleep, Pick Your Poison. I think one of my favorite songs, especially for how it came to be, is Somebody Like You. And is it true that it came from a real life text message, and you may have responded back in a great way?
So it wasn't a text. Okay, so originally, I remember I was at a bar with a few of my friends. It was one of their birthdays, and I ran into a few people, and there was something that was inspired, that line. And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, yeah, usually, when it doesn't work out with someone, you hope to not find somebody like them. I feel like that's a given. It's okay, it didn't work out. We're going to change it up, otherwise you're just going to keep going in circles. And, I feel like it's been so long ago that there might have been a text message, but I don't remember. I choose to block certain things out in my life. But no, honestly, it was for myself. I know that certain interaction with a few people was the part that inspired it, but it wasn't necessarily directly right on. But I feel like it's just a given. No one really should want those things in the second verse or the first verse. So take it as you will.
I was gonna say, I know someone can see themselves in that song, one way or the other. Hopefully in in the good way. But there are some that say things that they shouldn't. Now, for you talk about whether it was hearing, having all those previous conversations with your mom and her friends, and then out with your friends on somebody like you kind of comes to life. I think you've said the creative process often feels kind of like a therapy session for you. What's it like to, when you're working on songs, share those personal experiences, or even if it's maybe not truly personal, but finding that tie in, whether it's you, someone else, and kind of bringing that to life?
I will say it. For me, going into write has been kind of I read a lot of stuff in my journals or my notes app and things like that. God forbid my notes app gets hacked one day, and then it's oh god, and they'd be is she okay? So for me, it's writing these songs, especially I will say by myself, it's a little bit easier because I'm able to like share exactly the way I'm feeling. Because being vulnerable with people is terrifying, and being like, oh, this is like what I'm going through, or even if it's like about something stupid, but you don't want to share it, and you're like, well, and they just look at you, and you're like, I know you're judging me right now. But it feels just like a therapy session, and I'm able to just put everything out there and say exactly what I want. And I don't know. I feel like, especially like this new music, I wrote a lot of these songs a while ago, but I feel like they also fit very well, at least with like the times and everything like that, which I'm very excited for. And so sometimes when I write them, even if I don't resonate with them right away, it might be something that I resonate for down the road with, and then I'm able to fully dive into that song and really believe it for what it is.
Well, and then, like I said, people can see themselves in these songs. Like I said, I mean, some way, somehow, I'm pretty sure things have happened to folks in life that they can, get transported to. And, in addition to the music thing, and, you did the soccer thing when you were younger, I know you have a soft spot for animals. And you donate a lot of your time to animal organizations through Riffs and Rescues charity initiative. Why is that something you do and is so important to you?
So I've always been a very passionate lover of animals, and I have a dog myself. My other one passed away last year, and but I've always had animals growing up, and I feel like animals are our best friends, and they don't get a chance to speak for themselves, so we need to be the ones that advocate for them. And there's so many that are inside these shelters or rescues and organizations and things like that. And a lot of these shelters and whatnot are overpopulated, and so they get to the point where they are going to put them down. And so my goal is to help raise awareness, or even help raise funds or something like that, to get these what they need, whether it's even just certain things for supplies, little things like that. Whatever way I can help, that is my goal. So I remember back during COVID, especially when everything was kind of shut down, there wasn't a lot of people getting out, but and they weren't getting a lot of donations and things like that. I did like virtual live streams on Facebook, and I would sing a couple songs, and then I would talk all about the shelter, and people could donate directly to the organization right then and there. So it goes directly to them, or they can like buy things from their wish list. And any way that I can to help, that is my goal, because animals are our best friends, and we should be the ones to help them out.
No, I love that, and I joke about the cat that likes to break into the studio office up here, guest bedroom. Still love the cat, although sometimes maybe a little less when I get scratched, but that's a whole different problem. As you've gone along this journey too, I think you've described yourself as a recovering perfectionist, because this industry will not let you always be what you want to be when you do. So are you still living by the motto progress, not perfection? And how is that guiding you these days?
Yes, I think you can always, okay, so I go back and forth a little bit. I don't think I'll ever change, but I think it's good to strive for perfection, but to also be realistic, and that there is something so real and so like vulnerable, just about not being perfect. At the same time, it's like, this is real, like this is who you are, like don't try to pretend to be something. Like you can work your butt off, but there are times where it's not going to be exactly the way you want it to be, and that's not to get upset, but that's just another moment to grow and to learn. That's something that I really live by.
Well, and you've been able to build and continue to build and do some cool things. I know you've performed for some rather large crowds, performed with some of your heroes, or been sharing the stages with them and opening for them, Tim McGraw, Blake Shelton, Carly Pierce, and others. What's it like, as I know your career, you've been doing this for a while, but obviously the career is still on the upward path. What's it like to do those things, experience those things, and if you can, get a little bit of time with those folks?
I will say it definitely has been really cool, especially recently, because I feel like before I was really learning the process, because I had only really started playing with a band a couple years back. And that was right like when I first started opening up for a lot of these artists. I had never played with a band. I had done everything like with tracks or something, because I had never really performed. At least in like the country scene, where I was like, oh yeah, like I would have dancers and things like that, and I was like, I'm definitely not doing that anymore. And so like getting there to be with the band, it's like I felt like I was focusing on a lot of other things. And now I'm at the point where I'm able to truly enjoy every moment of what I need to do. And I have a great group of guys that always play with me back home. And so it's a lot easier where it's just like everyone kind of knows what they need to do. And it's like I'm not trying to make sure everything's running smoothly. It's just like we all are a team together in a way. And it's really nice. And I feel like especially recently, like I've gotten to meet so many incredible people that I have looked up to for so long. And now I get to like hang out with them and like hear their stories and like what they do and like what their system is like and what everything is. I don't know. It's just really cool, and I'm very, very thankful.
Well, and like you said, nowadays you are performing on those stages, and I always love to ask this, like, what's your favorite part about being on stage? And obviously, like I know you talked about it, you love the music and being able to bring out those instruments and so forth. So I'm guessing that that's a little touch of it to show off who you are.
I will say my favorite thing about being on stage is that I'm able to kind of just like zone everything out. I don't know why. It's like a lot of people would get, I would say a lot more people would get like kind of scared or like nervous to be on stage, and so they start worrying about everything. But for me, whenever I'm on stage, I'm like, I could just focus on this thing right now. Like, my ADHD is not going anymore. So I'm able to...
Now you're hyper-focused.
Yeah, exactly. Which I love. I was like, okay, great. Like, I could just focus on, like, make sure to not forget the words. Because that's happened many a times that I just called the remix. But I don't know. I think my favorite thing is that. But then also it's just kind of like being in the moment and not worrying about anything else and just taking it all in, because I will say if you aren't enjoying everything when it's happening, then there's kind of no point of doing it, I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been fun to talk to folks because you see how maybe different people are, maybe what little quirks they have. So do you have any fun pre-show rituals or show rituals that you have to go through? Or you just get up there?
Okay, I'm going to sound so boring.
You just get up there?
Peace and quiet. Like, I don't know why. I like my little, like, I like doing my makeup. Like, that to me is, like, my pre-show ritual. Like, so many people, like, want, like, a makeup artist, and I'm like, no, like, that's, like, my time to just, like, live in my own little world. And I'm like, what am I doing today? Are we giving a cat eye? Are we giving sparkles? I don't know. But otherwise, yeah, we don't really have a pre-show ritual. It's just, like, make sure everyone's there on time.
That's a good one. I've heard that's a very good one to have. I love that. And, I finally, like I said at the beginning, got to ask you my favorite question. What are you drinking? And you got the Cab Sava or Cabernet.
Yep.
I also love to ask this as we get toward the end, and especially with someone that's got new music coming, and I'm curious to see if maybe one of these is the answer or if it's one of your older ones. What's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
Ooh. I would say... Oh, this is so hard. I think that my favorite one would be How Many Kisses. But I don't really have songs like where I can like truly like sing and stand and just kind of like give my all. And that has forever been one of my favorite ones. Otherwise, it's an unreleased song that is coming out at the beginning of the year. I've been teasing that one.
Uh-huh.
So that one I think is my favorite. But
see, I love that.
Right now, it's How Many Kisses.
I love that because I've talked to folks, and it's funny because they'll be like, some will be like, no, it's actually my current single. I know that's like a cop out, but it truly is. But then there's others that is like, no, it's this song, and I'm like, that's on the record, and no one's, you can only hear it live, and I'm like, that tells you how good the record is. So, obviously, it sounds like you've moved to, you made the move to Nashville full time. So, I'm guessing more music. What are you hoping to? One, why did you want to make that move to Nashville? Why now? And all those good things.
I will say, so I'm still back and forth between Nashville and California. So it's not like I'm leaving completely. Still have a lot of clothes back in California that I got to figure out what I'm doing with. But I will...
Seasons. The seasons will dictate it.
Exactly. I will say the big thing for me out here is I love how... I don't know. I feel like it's a machine out here. And that's something that I really love and I feel very inspired by. Every time I'm out here, I feel like I'm so productive and I get so many things done. And I love that everything is also a 20-minute drive from everything instead of 2.5 hours. But also, it's just, there's so many things that can happen out here, whether it's just like the songwriting or getting to play shows. It's kind of like the hub, at least, for to travel outside of instead of me being back and forth. And I'm like, oh, all right, another plane ticket that I'm gonna lose, something stupid. And I don't know. I'm just very excited and very. I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like I've been wanting this for a while, so I'm glad that it's finally happening.
Well, like you said, that's where a lot of things happen. I mean, a lot of things happen out in L.A., but a lot of things in the country world, go down in Nashville, and you never know who you might run into and what door might open. But it sounds like you've also got a lot of new music coming.
Yes, sir.
So what else can folks expect from you? By the time this drops, it'll only be like 6 weeks left in 2025. So obviously, we got to look into 2026 as well. So what else can folks expect from you moving forward? Because it sounds like you got some new music coming and you're going to be staying busy.
Yes, so new music, a lot of shows are happening. If anyone's going to be during out in Vegas during NFR week, I'm playing out there. And then, I don't know, just kind of on the road and then making new music and doing the whole thing, which I'm very excited for.
Now, what can you tell us that will not get you in trouble? I want to preface that I said don't get yourself in trouble. What you do, that's on you.
You said I'm not getting a lawsuit.
So can you tell us anything, or at least where to maybe pay attention to?
Ooh, I will say Instagram and or TikTok. I will be honestly, if anyone wants to do some digging, there's already some little like Easter egg things from earlier this year. So you can put two and two together at that point. I might have teased them back then because I was hoping they would come out then. But I don't know.
But there is hope that they will be coming out soon.
Oh, they are coming out soon. They're almost ready. So I am so excited.
I love that. See, that's a good tease. You shouldn't get yourself in trouble, and I can't wait to see what's next. And Presley, thank you for coming back. It's so much fun to catch up and see how your journey has progressed, and you're making some great music. And like I said, I can't wait to see what's next. And thanks for sharing a drink with me this time. I appreciate it. Cheers.
I know. I appreciate it. Thank you. Cheers.